The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the WZWA Network, and welcome to a very special review here of AEW Dynamite from March 1st, 2023 from the Cal Palace in San Francisco, California. I'm your host, Karlifornia, and the reason this is a special edition of an AEW Dynamite review is because I haven't done a review of AEW Dynamite since, it must have been September 29th, 2021. I've got it written down here. And the reason why it's special is because I'm going to actually spend a portion of time talking about my history as a wrestling fan as it pertains to AEW. And I'm going to talk about that, why I stopped doing reviews with Juicy Boy, my co-host that we did every single week, why we started doing the reviews in the first place, and also what I think is wrong with AEW today and what they need to change. Okay? I'm going to try and go about this as nicely as possible. I'm going to be diplomatic. I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to be ripping anyone apart. I'm not going to be unkind. So if there's any AEW fans watching this, I really would like you to stick around, listen to what I have to say. And if you disagree with some things that I say, then please, in the comments, say anything you want. Just don't be hurtful and, just don't go overboard. It's I often find that no matter what you say, like some fans will not accept any sort of negative feedback on AEW, but things aren't perfect, and I'm not a WWE stan. I haven't watched an episode of Monday Night Raw since Raw 25. Okay, so we can get that out the way immediately. I haven't watched Raw in 5 years, and before that, I hadn't watched an episode since Raw 1000, which I don't know how long ago before Raw 25 that was, but I don't watch their show. Okay, so here we go. AEW, right? It forms several years ago now, and there was an exciting thing in the air about having a new wrestling company out there, a new national, a global company, I suppose you could say, where, now a lot of people can get jobs in pro wrestling, more people getting jobs in pro wrestling. It's not just one place, which is what we always needed. We needed more than one, because it's better for the business that there is more jobs on offer and more opportunities for people to be seen on television. So when I first found out about AEW, I was like, well, I mean, it's all elite wrestling. So this is like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Cody and all that. And I wasn't really into Ring of Honor. I wasn't really into New Japan. I didn't know much about Kenny Omega. All I knew about the Young Bucks is that I didn't really like their style of wrestling. Cody, I didn't mind. And I always thought that he could have been a bigger star in WWE before he left. But, at first I was curious, but I wasn't all in. Let's just say that. I wasn't going to be giving it my full attention straight away. But I was at least curious, and they had an opportunity to at least hook me. They have this big show, All In, where they're going to prove, this is before AEW, but they're going to prove that they can put 10,000 people in an arena, and that this can actually work, right? And going into this show, I did happen to see a promo that Cody Rhodes cut. Leading up to his match with his brother Dustin at this show. I'm sorry. I know that. I think that match actually, sorry, my bad. That is Double or Nothing, not All In, Double or Nothing. That's what I'm talking about. Excuse me. So yes, Double or Nothing. He's cutting this promo, and I'm interested to see what he's got to say, because I always wanted to see Cody versus his brother properly in WWE, but what we got was, what we got, which wasn't good enough. Let's be perfectly honest. What was it? Roadblock or whatever, Fastlane, I don't know. But anyway, So he cuts this promo, and he's a VP of this company. And I'm listening to what he's got to say. And he's talking about the Attitude Era. He's talking about how the Attitude Era was overrated, and that he was going to, when he beat his brother, he was going to kill the Attitude Era. So that immediately, to me, he's a VP of the company. Yes, I know he's also portraying a heel, but I know in interviews he doubled down on this and that he actually does believe this. So I now know that what I'm going to be getting from this company is certainly not going to be from the style of wrestling that got me into wrestling in the first place, the Attitude Era. Now, I wasn't expecting that, but to actively go out there and disparage it, put it down, make it seem like it wasn't that great, even though it got the highest ratings of all time, to actively go out there and make that effort like he was being cool, like he was being, I don't know. You know why he said it? He said it because he wanted to appease those kinds of fans that wanted to hear that kind of thing. And look, people can like what they like, and it's totally fine. If you don't like the Attitude Era, that's okay. But to go to this effort, to be edgy about it, to me, that was a real big turnoff. Not only that, but his comments about casual fans. He hates the term casual fan. And I'm going to try and get through this as quick as possible. But people like Cody, Dave Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez, they don't actually understand what a casual fan is. Okay, a casual fan, and let me just explain this to you real quick. Okay, a casual wrestling fan, right, is a casual TV viewer that's flicking through. They like wrestling a little bit, but they're not a big fan. What you want is to get their attention. You take those casual fans, and then through your hard efforts in retaining the casual fans and their interest, you turn the casual fan into a hardcore fan, just like happened to me in 1998, happened to my mate Daniel, my mate Mike, my mate Chris, my mate Jonathan, my mate Nicholas, all of my friends became big wrestling fans, but they had to start from somewhere. Everyone starts from being a casual wrestling fan. You don't start from being a hardcore fan. That doesn't make any sense. If you're a fan of Melrose Place, I like to use that as an example. If you're a fan of Melrose Place, all right, you're not immediately obsessed with the show. You might watch it for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it hooks you, and then you get really invested. That's what it's all about. So when I hear them talk about casual fans and the way Dave Meltzer tries to talk about it, it's like, man, you just don't understand. I can't believe this guy who's been doing this for so long still doesn't understand what the definition of a casual fan or a casual TV viewer is. But anyway, things like that turned me off, because I know now that they're just going to be looking after that niche audience that they already have from day dot. And they had some casual fans tune into that first Dynamite. That's still the highest rated Dynamite that they had, and they lost them. They lost them because they couldn't retain them because they went niche. And also Cody, the look in his face when he was at the pep rally that they did, the famous pep rally, and he said, I don't know about you guys, but this smells like a revolution. The smug look in his face when he said it, big turn off, man. It was like, he was definitely full of it, right? So time would wear on, right? I still wouldn't give AEW a chance. Friends might start telling me, oh, you should check out AEW, man. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a bit different from WWE. But I knew that I just wasn't going to be into it. I'd say things like that Japanese wrestler lathering himself in baby oil, Joey Ryan making his entrance with the big inflatable penises. Like, I'm a guy that enjoys moments like Val Venus getting his PP chopped off, right? So if I like stuff like that and I'm entertained by that, then I must really think this kind of thing is bad and a turn off for me as a viewer. But I want to talk about the Cody effect, because Cody really, he really kept me at arm's length away from this thing. I didn't like the stuff he said in interviews. I didn't like stuff that Toni said in interviews, but Toni wasn't out there the way he is now. Quick run through. His feud with MJF had no pretense to it. They weren't best friends. They just had to make that up so they could do this feud. Lazy. He gets Arn Anderson as his coach. He gets to have his nightmare family with his dog coming to the ring with him. It just rubs me the wrong way. A nonsensical feud with Shaq. The atrocious feud with the Factory and Anthony Ogogo. I didn't watch any of the weekly TV, but I caught some of these things when we were watching the pay-per-views because we'd started reviewing all the pay-per-views for AEW, starting with Revolution, moving forward to Double or Nothing, and all that. And then later on down the line, retiring randomly after losing to Malachi Black, which that made no sense. The crying over racism, all these things that were just so poorly put together and poorly thought out. It was a big deterrent. I know what he was trying to do. I understand it, but here's the thing. Cody should have never been in that position to have any say over any storylines because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Not everybody has a creative mind in that way. You might be a fantastic wrestler. You might feel like you understand the business. You might do a lot of research and watch a lot of wrestling and try and take a bit from here and a bit from there. But if you don't have a creative mind, you can't write a wrestling show. You don't know how to put together a story that makes sense, that's coherent. All right. And that's a big problem that Tony Khan has. Okay. I get it. He's a big fan, but it doesn't matter how big of a fan you can be of something. It doesn't mean that someone who's a massive NBA fan could go coach the Chicago Bulls tomorrow. It doesn't mean that, you know, a huge NFL football fan can go coach the 49ers tomorrow. It's just they have their fantasy baseball, their fantasy football, all that stuff. So Tony should have just stuck to fantasy wrestling that he used to do. Doesn't mean it equates to him being able to actually write episodic weekly television, okay? Other things, you know, we also reviewed Blood and Guts. I believe the one that the Inner Circle faced the Pinnacle. And Jericho got thrown off the top of the cage onto the mattresses. Things like the exploding barbed wire match that went horribly wrong and Tony's BS excuses after that. Seeing Kenny Omega's mic skills at that Blood and Guts when he had a promo with Orange Cassidy and Tony Schiavone, I thought that was absolutely atrocious. And I was like, what's the big deal about this guy? Sure, he can have these matches that go 40 minutes and they kick out 50 times, which really isn't my kind of bag. But when I saw him cut the promo, I was very disappointed, to be perfectly honest with you, right? So anyway, look, okay, I got my that portion of this review out there, my review of my relationship with AEW, right? But then as time's wearing on, okay, there are things here and there that are piquing my interest a little bit. There's Jake Roberts out there. Unfortunately, it's with Cody. You know, there's Sting showing up. That's wow. I was so excited. But Sting makes his debut promo the following week. Guess who's standing in the ring with him? Cody. And I remember watching it being like, what are you doing in there? Get out of there. You don't need to be in there, bro. Why do you always have to be involved? Go away. For Christ's sake, this isn't about you. That was half my problem. And these days, I don't really have a problem with Cody. You know why? Because I know he's not writing his own stuff. And I know he's not, you know, using this as like some sort of, you know, having his little passion projects of doing this with this guy and doing this story with this guy. And, you know, it was all a big vanity project for him. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. Anyway, back to more positivity, okay? They piqued my interest. They piqued my interest big time when I heard Chris Jericho was going to wrestle Nick Gage in a death match. And I said to my co-host, Juicy Boy, man, we should watch that and we should review it for the channel. We weren't doing any weekly TV show reviews. We were just doing pay-per-views of WWE and AEW that year. I don't think we hadn't expanded to other things yet. Maybe we'd done some NWA. I think we'd done NWA. I think maybe then we started doing Impact. Anyway, that's not important. So we watched the Jericho Nick Gage Dynamite. We kind of enjoyed it. And then the next week we found out it was going to be Hoovy against Jericho at AEW Homecoming 2021. And we were like, my God, who would have thought you'd see Hoovy versus Jericho all these years later? This is what it was, everyone. Surprises, not knowing what was going to happen next, it being unpredictable. That's what, again, Melrose Place. You watch an episode of the 90s version of Melrose Place, you don't know what's going to happen next. It's a whirlwind. That's what I like out of my wrestling. I like a whirlwind. I like it being unpredictable. We started reviewing the shows week to week, sometimes enjoying the shows, sometimes not so much, but I was kind of into it. I thought things were, going all right. I didn't dare watch WWE, but I had some negative things to say here and there, but overall, not too bad, right? We get to All Out 2021, right? Punk's made his return to pro wrestling. It's all very exciting. The stories leading into this, the show itself had all these different flavors and different things that really, I would say had me excited for the show. Miro and Kingston had a great, big hoss fight between the two of them for the TNT title. Great way to start that show. Moxley and Satoshi Kojima had a great strong style match, different flavors. Britt Baker, who I've become a big fan of, against Chris Statlander on that show. Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks was the only low light of that show for me because, man, it was just too much. Too much BS, too much kicking out of this and that, kicking each other in the head over and over again. And then, of course, you have the dirt sheet guys put it over like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. Sorry, that cage match was just the low light of the show for me as far as I'm concerned. And people out there might be like, are you serious, man? I'm like, yes, I'm damn serious, dude. Damn serious. Like, take off your rose-tinted glasses. Ruby Soho, a nice surprise, winning the Casino Royale, where she'll get a shot at the champion coming soon. Jericho and MJF, the big conclusion of the feud. CM Punk in his in-ring return against Darby Allin. Everyone was into that. Paul White. Well, I loved this storyline with Paul White and QT Marshall. I thought QT Marshall was hilarious. He was really popping me with his stupid bowling shirts and everything. And, seeing people whinge about Paul White being on the show, again, that was another thing that kind of pushed me back, was seeing the way AEW fans talked, how disrespectful that they are to somebody like Paul White. Like, why wouldn't he have a spot on this show? Come on, man. The main event, Omega and Cage. It was what it was. And then we got the debut of Adam Cole. Awesome. Okay. I didn't know much about Adam Cole, but I thought, okay, that's cool. Cool way to end the show. Then when Bryan Danielson's theme song played, boom. I was like, this was a fantastic pay-per-view. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I thought this pay-per-view was fantastic. And I thought to myself, wow, maybe Tony Khan knows what he's doing. Maybe I was wrong. We'll see what happens. Let it play out, as they say. And then this is where things went south. Within the period of time between then and Full Gear, there's quite some time between their pay-per-views, I started noticing something wasn't right. I started noticing the formula of the show was very simple. I started noticing some people being misused, like Miro, like Andrade, like Brian Cage. All of these guys that I got into, I started feeling like you're not doing enough with them. That story with Park and Andrade was terrible, man. Like, Andrade kept on like canceling the cars of the other guys in the Death Triangle from the airport. It's like, okay, like, why don't they book an Uber then? It was nonsense. They're just trying to come up with something, some sort of reason for them to have some sort of issue. That's what I mean about that beginner's booking 101. Like, he shouldn't be writing the show because it's very, very, it's not juvenile. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's very simple is what I'm looking for. So yes, the formula of the shows was simple. You had the cookie cutter interruptions of people's backstage interviews, or when people are in the ring having an interview, or on the mic, someone interrupts. I know that kind of happens a lot, but every show. Foregone conclusions up and down the card. You look at a card, you could tell 9 out of 10, you knew who was winning each match ahead of time. And even Dave Meltzer finally started admitting that recently when he was saying why Rampage might not be getting very good ratings. We were doing reviews of Rampage, but we dropped it because we felt it was absolutely pointless. It didn't take long. It only took maybe 6 weeks for us to be like, nah, no, this show's not going to be anything at all. We're heading towards that Full Gear pay-per-view. And I'm sorry, we'll get to today's Dynamite very soon. There's only a few more minutes left in this. We get to that tail end of TV towards Full Gear, and we have an eliminator tournament. And you look at that tournament, up and down, the winner's going to get a shot at the champ. You've got Preston Vance in there. You've got, you know, who's winning each match in the initial round. You know who's going through to the next part, and you know that the plan was for Moxley and Danielson to get into the finals against one another. Moxley did go to treatment, so he couldn't complete the tournament, so Miro was thrown in there. But you could see ahead of time who was going to make it to the finals, which made the whole tournament a waste of time. Toni would still drive me crazy with stuff he would say in interviews, but he wasn't all the way out there yet like he has been in the last year or so, which has been another deterrent. The guy sitting in the middle there at every press scrum, interrupting wrestlers when they're answering a question, taking over. He's the big star. Like, I honestly believe if Toni just stayed behind the scenes and didn't do interviews, maybe every now and then with a massive publication like a Forbes or whatever, you know, okay, then, but only give just little bits of details, you know, don't just to spill everything that you've got inside you, bro. Like, he's put himself out there too much, okay? I don't think he's the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't think he's an idiot, but something's not right. You got to admit that. Okay, I'm not saying anything bad, but something's just not right. It's like he's a spoiled brat and he's immature. I honestly believe that. But as the weeks were wearing on, I was getting more and more impatient with these shows. I felt like I was wasting my time. I felt like, gosh, like there's so much promise here. You got all those minds behind the scenes. You got this great roster of people. I'm starting to get into all these different characters. You know, I like Darby Allin, I like Britt Baker, I like Powerhouse Hobbs and Team Taz. You know, I'm into some of these guys and some of the ladies. You know, I was really digging some of the, you know, their presentation. But then we got to that September 29th edition of Dynamite, where Sammy Guevara beat Miro for the TNT title. I had already been like seeing AEW fans' comments on things as the weeks wore on, and I'd have these back and forths with them on Twitter, trying to make them understand, like, this isn't perfect. That's why the ratings aren't going up. This is a problem. Do you not have a problem with the fact that you know who's winning every match ahead of time, and they just don't seem to care? They don't like people like Dan Lambert. They don't like heels being heels. They just want everyone to be friends and have a good wrestling match. But they have to understand that this isn't just for them, right? This is for the people in the company. This is millions of dollars being spent here. This is very important. And when you keep on blowing smoke up the clacker of TK, he's going to keep thinking he's doing a good job. And I'll tell you this right here, right now. Here's an exclusive that I thought of the other day. Tony Khan should not be writing this show. He's not qualified. He does not have creative writing experience. He does not have television writing experience. He should not be writing this show. Tony Khan has been told by people that he's great. Meltzer, Alvarez, all the dirt sheet guys, all of those diehard fans, people just filling him full of all this confidence that he's really good at what he does. Booker of the Year. You have to understand, Tony Khan's father is a self-made billionaire. Tony's never really had a thing for himself that he made himself. Now he had the chance to. He's got to follow in his father's footsteps in something. He's got to prove to himself that he's good at something, right? This is what I honestly believe. He has to know that he's good at something, because he just doesn't want to be just some billionaire's son who just spent his father's money. He needs to know that he's actually good at something. That's why I feel he refuses to believe that there is any problem with the shows. I think he's in denial. That's why he's always saying, "Oh, it's great, it's great. All the shows lately have been so great. We're just stepping it up a notch and stepping it up a notch every single month, every single week. We're putting on great shows, blah, blah." It's the same rhetoric every single time. He has to convince himself he is right. He is good. That's it. That's what I honestly believe. When Sammy Guevara beat Miro on that Dynamite, I was infuriated because it was putting a square peg into a round hole. It did not make sense to me that this would happen at this point. Miro was on a hot run, and he has done nothing of note since. And that was September 29th, 2021. We're now in March of 2023, and he hasn't been on TV in ages. Oh, that's because he keeps saying no to the ideas that Tony, because the ideas are probably shit. Did you ever think of that? Maybe some people don't want to go out there and perform shit that's been given to them, because guess what? You're only as good as the creative given to you. That's how it works. People say Drew McIntyre is a boring babyface champion. He's a boring babyface champion because the content he was given was boring. Doesn't mean he's boring, you know? You can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit sometimes in pro wrestling. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Anyway, another thing. We got to that Full Gear pay-per-view. I'm going to run through this quick so I can get to today's Dynamite. MJF versus Darby Allin was pretty close to being the only good thing on that show. Lucha Brothers and FTR had no chemistry. The storyline was horrid, especially when FTR were forced to wear those stupid masks. Danielson versus Miro, foregone conclusion. You knew Danielson was winning because you know that Toni doesn't know how to pivot. You know, because if Moxley's out and then Miro just gets thrown in, I would have had Miro go over because it would have been something unpredictable. Oh, you can't have Danielson lose that soon after debuting. Yes, you can. You can't have him losing his first pay-per-view match. You can. It's not the end of the world. Cage and the Jurassic Express, they beat the Super Click in a match that went way too long and they went way overboard. And the only way a young buck seems to be able to get pinned is if someone caves their head in on the stage with a chair. And they still came out 5 matches later for the big conclusion of the Hangman Page Omega match, which people taking a chair shot like that, they should be out for a couple of weeks. That's what is realistic. You're teaching people out there to believe that a deadly shot to the skull against a hard floor, that you can get over that within a couple of segments. Cody and Pac against Black and Andrade was just a weird storyline. It's like Tony trying to shoehorn people into the pay-per-view because he's now signing way too many people, and he's got to, like all these other pay-per-views that came after this, he's shoehorning people in at multi-man matches. Every tag team title match has multiple teams in it most of the time. Britt and Ty Conti, they tried their hardest. I don't think their chemistry was right there, though. Punk and Kingston was good, but of course, Tony, even though we had something there that could have been prolonged and maybe they could have made some more money from it. No, I need to get to Punk and MJF already. You couldn't just like see something's going one way and keep going with it. You had to go against the grain because you had to do what he wanted to do, because that's what happens when you have ADHD. Inner Circle against American Top Team absolutely insulted my intelligence. Page and Omega was a foregone conclusion. Of course, the Young Bucks come out at the end so they can get the conclusion of their story, and the fans are like, "Oh, what a great layered story that was! It was just a perfect wrestling storytelling." So since then, right, I have just not been interested. Yes, we review the pay-per-views. We review pay-per-views of all the major organizations, but I just wanted to go through that with everyone here and explain to you what I think some of the massive problems have been with the company, right? I'm not surprised Cody left the company, because I think Cody could probably deep down see the writing on the wall. He knew that with all the influx of all these guys, and then he's bringing in this guy and this guy and this guy, this former WWE guy, this guy, that the roster's so bloated that no one can find time on television. You don't see someone for 2-3 weeks at a time sometimes. How are you supposed to build momentum if the audience doesn't see them? Oh, you can see them on AEW Dark. People don't have all the time in the world to watch hours and hours of wrestling. All right. I'm not watching Rampage. I'm not watching the YouTube shows where it's all squash matches just so I can see someone. No. Dynamite's where it is. That's the destination, bro. You can't have this many people on the roster when you've only got 3 hours of television time a week. No. Oh, they got Ring of Honor. No. It's behind a paywall, for fuck's sake. Okay. Right. There. I've had my complaint. All right. Of things that I thought were going great with the company and things that just hurt the company. I honestly believe the initial vision of the company has been so mixed up and mishmashed into who knows even what it is anymore, because Toni wanted to start writing the show himself and get the VPs not involved in it anymore because of things that were going wrong. He thought, well, they must be making the mistakes. It can't be me, because again, he can't fail at this, because if he fails at this, his whole world will come crumbling down. Right. So with my job at the moment, there is a lot of downtime with my job, which means that I am able to sit there and watch Dynamite live in the morning and pretty much have my time to myself. I'm being paid, but those few hours during the morning, I don't have to do anything, so I can sit there and watch Dynamite and technically get paid for it. So I've watched the last 3 weeks or so of Dynamite because now it is airing on ESPN Australia on ESPN2 at 9 a.m. Every Thursday morning, which I guess would be 9 p.m. the previous evening in the United States. Anyway, I wanted to offer my thoughts on this episode and, you know, how I feel things are going towards this pay-per-view, and kind of just update you on how I feel about AEW in conjunction with how I used to feel about Dynamite when I reviewed it beforehand. So I know that the other side of the building, they were definitely not shooting that side of the building, the one that has the hard cam, right? I could tell that they were hiding it, man. Capacity for the building is 14,000 and they sold 4,000 tickets. I saw a video and a picture of the building, and that whole side of the building was completely empty, man. Jesus. The show starts with Orange Cassidy defending the All Atlantic Championship against Big Bill, aka W. Morrissey. I feel like he made a mistake going there, man. I feel like he's just lost in the shuffle. I don't think he's going to get any sort of push. I think he's just going to be stuck there in the firm doing whatever it is and being another one of those big men that puts over a guy half his size. Don't get me started on Brian Cage losing to Jungle Boy again, please. He's wrestling Christian at the pay-per-view. Like, you can't have him lose. Then don't put him against Brian Cage then. So every Dynamite that I've seen the last 3 weeks, nothing's changed really. They always start the show with a very long match, which I don't think is going to do them any favors. I think you need to start show with a bit of story to hook people. So that's, again, a complaint that I've had about Toni. He does not know how to thread a story through a show. Everything is self-contained in their own segment. You see someone once, you don't see them again for the rest of the show 90% of the time. Everything is self-contained, and I'll explain more about that later. Most of the matches had a commercial break in them, which is one of my biggest pet peeves, and this is something I hated beforehand as well. Danhausen comes down, and Stokely ends up hitting him with his cast. So we've got our first slight interference of the show in the first match. I hated the finish. Orange Cassidy hitting him with 3 orange punches, the last one being off the top rope. I don't believe it when I see it. And it hurts wrestling when you see stuff like this. I'm sorry, it's true. If it were a real fight, Big Cass would have murdered him. But what's with the big guys losing to people that look like civilians? I did like Orange going through a table. I thought the pace of the match was all right. Like, you know, it's just, I feel like, gosh, they just look at Lance Archer. That's a big bastard right there. That dude's he's not achieved anything. He's had a few title shots, but he's never fucking won anything. What's it going to make people think of him? Lance Archer's the guy that just can't get the job done, no matter how big he is. There's Moxley doing an interview from last week, just bleeding, just so much blood. And I don't want to get too negative, man, but I just think no one wants to see that. If I turned on the TV and saw a guy bleeding like that much, you're trying to hook a casual fan. I don't think that's going to do the job. Everyone that tunes in should, by the end of the show, kind of know who most people are and what they're all about, and what the story is. I think if you tuned in then and there, you'd be like, change the channel. Sorry, I know that sounds really like negative, but I'm going to get real negative right now. The Elite come out. Their theme song plays. They're on the ramp for their entrance. It goes black. You know what's happening because they're facing the House of Black at the pay-per-view for the trios titles, which never should have been introduced in the first place. It is a ratings killer, and all it is an excuse for spots, high spots. That's all it is. But they get to do their little thing that they've always wanted to do together and have this little trios title run. So the House of Black, they attack the Elite when the lights go back out. The lights turn back on. They have the belts, and the Elite are on the floor like what do they do in such a short amount of time? They didn't have any weapons on them. See, this is what I'm talking about fucking lazy booking. This is the laziest build on your go-home show. Laziest build. They get laid out with what I don't know, because usually it takes a shotgun to get one of these guys to stay down. And then after they hold the belts up, end of segment. Never heard from or about it again. No update on how the Elite are feeling. Not them backstage pissed off and upset that they got attacked, yelling in Renee Young's face about the situation. Really upset. Them trying to find the House of Black around the building. Maybe that could have been a thread through the show. Like they want to get them now. They can't find them anywhere because the House of Black are, hidden in some sort of dark lair within the building, probably the boiler room or whatever. Like something, give me something else. This is all you could think of, Toni. And everyone that's in the segment, you couldn't pitch. Maybe we could do some other things through the show and maybe the first match doesn't have to go 20 minutes. Really lazy. Again, just confined to one segment, never heard from again. Face of the Revolution ladder match. Can't remember how to say his name again. Tashika? Why can't I ever remember how to say his surname? Takeshka. There we go. Ortiz, AR Fox, Eddie Kingston, Powerhouse Hobbs, Sammy Guevara, Action Andretti, and Commander making his AEW debut. Obviously, they had to stick the Face of the Revolution ladder match on Dynamite because they have too much to put on the show, and there's a 60-minute Iron Man match. And we definitely don't want another pay-per-view that goes nearly 5 hours. Powerhouse Hobbs with the standout. You looked at this lineup, you thought to yourself, the only person who should be winning this match is Powerhouse Hobbs. Early on, Ortiz and Kingston fight to the back for some reason, and aren't heard from again. I'm gonna give some negatives here. Action Andretti doing that Falcon Arrow off the top of the ladder onto another ladder that was bouncing off that ladder and the top rope, nearly just killed Sammy Guevara. Now, I don't like Sammy Guevara. I have not liked him in a long time. Hey, he was the reason that we stopped doing these reviews. But you could have really hurt the guy there, and I wouldn't want him getting hurt like that. These guys, someone's going to get hurt soon. And that's why I hate these ladder matches, because all it is an excuse to do stupid spots and ignore like the psychology that is supposed to go into a ladder match. Eddie Kingston hasn't done anything interesting in months. I'm sure he's going to Ring of Honor. Commander in his debut did some impressive gymnastic kind of, high flying stuff. But that spot along the ropes where he ran along the ropes and dived onto the crowd of people, he's doing a dive when there was no one around and he should be trying to climb a ladder to retrieve the stupid gold donut. Okay. That's what the point of the match is. I know I can't believe I'm getting mad now. Fuck. I promised I wasn't going to get mad. But some of you fans, do you not understand this is the psychology of the match? You're supposed to climb the ladder. All you care about is then, like, how easily amused are you? Oh, like, yay, another person flying through the air. Like, what? If you want to see that, watch Superman or something. This is all some of these fans seem to care about, is people doing really dangerous shit or just jumping over the ropes onto a crowd of people that you've seen 1,000 times before. Like, does it not get boring? Do you not want some, like, meat and potatoes and some story that actually gets you actively invested instead of just caring about spots? Blue Thunder Bomb by Takeshita or whatever, however you say it. That was excellent. It was really cool. It was a cool spot. But, like, that should have been, like, the main big bump, I reckon, because I think they did too much. Daniel Garcia interferes in the match. So that is the second match on the show that has an interference. Then everyone's been taken out and they put Action Andretti on to a ladder. And then Sammy 100% imitates Jeff Hardy, does the same kind of swanton, just going off that really big ladder and putting Action through that ladder, doing this thing. And you know what annoys me most about it? Again, everyone else was out cold. You had your mate there, Daniel Garcia. Why didn't Garcia just, I don't know, throw Action Andretti into the crowd and then Sammy would have ample opportunity to climb the ladder and grab the donut? No, you have Sammy put Action Andretti out of the match and essentially put himself out of the match because he didn't do anything else after that. You're supposed to want a shot at the belt. So again, it's spot for spot's sake. My favorite part of the match was when Takeshita was climbing the ladder and Hobbs just, boom, shoulder block into the ladder. He destroyed the ladder. They needed 3 referees to hold it straight. I thought him winning was excellent, and he was the one that should have won in the first place. I read this from the Bleacher Report. The match was a spot fest that featured, that's no elaboration if that's cool or not. I'm assuming the Bleacher Report thinks that's good. It was a spot fest that featured some great storytelling in the form of Garcia and Guevara working together to eliminate Andretti. How was that great storytelling? I didn't have the name of the guy down. I should have written his name. That's not storytelling. That's just something that happened. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? That's the problem. Thomas Hall of 411 Mania said this. You still had too many instances of people running around and way too many instances of people going for a big spot rather than trying to win. Thank you. That stuff always drives me crazy. Thank you in these things. And this was even messier than most such matches. These multi-man ladder matches are fucking horrible, bro. This is all they are now. They used to mean something, brother. This didn't work very well, though it did have the expected impressive dives. Just slow it down a bit next time. Yeah. Like, you don't need to fucking kill yourself every time you get to be in a match like this. Because at this point, it's like a dime a dozen now. It happens so much that it's so forgettable now because it happens all the time. When you saved it, you save those moments, you make those moments special. When you do it every week or every second month or whatever, eventually these things get boring. Can people not see that? After this, more interference, more people coming out. He's trying to cram so much in, man. So Samoa Joe was on commentary for this match. Makes sense. Winner gets a shot at his belt. Wardlow comes out and he wants to confront Joe. It was a really lazy way of adding a final layer to the story as Hobbs sat back and laughed. Wardlow is trying to get at Joe. Security guards try and stop him. Joe manages to sneak off, and then Wardlow power bombs a security guard off the stage onto a pile of security guards that just happened to be fucking standing there down off the stage on the floor. What were they all doing standing there? A whole bunch of them came after him. He threw him around, and then he grabbed one and power bombed him off the stage, and there just happened to be a pile of security guards there. Lazy, lazy, lazy. You couldn't think of anything, so you just, we'll just do that. Lazy. And I don't think Tony's a lazy person, right? But it's lazy in the form of he didn't put enough thought into it. He probably thinks he's really putting a lot of thought into things. That's not thought. That's just something, again, that happened that people are going to forget about. That meant nothing. Renee was backstage with a late-breaking medical update. She said Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta were not cleared to compete in the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale, but Danhausen said he and Orange would take their place. Now we know who's winning, because who's in the storyline with Jeff Jarrett and all that. Thanks a lot. Why didn't you just leave it as a surprise? Now we know who's winning. And if you did know who's winning, then I'm sorry, you're dumb. Jericho takes on Pretty Peter Avalon. We knew he was winning this one. Jericho's entrance was cut off to commercial break, so it's fine this time. Please. I can't stand the Judas sing-along anymore, and that, to me, was awesome. He should change his theme song. He's a heel. He's not supposed to have the fans get into it like that. Okay, get this, right? So he beats Avalon pretty quickly, then starts attacking him with a baseball bat. What do you know? Once again, someone runs out. It's Ricky Starks, who Jericho's facing at the pay-per-view. And then what do you know? Another run-in. Jericho Appreciation Society attacks Starks. They lay him out. Some people be like, oh, there's some great heat there. No, bro. Like, this happened over and over again on this show. Okay? Like, Garcia just did a run-in on the ladder match. Danhausen came out in the first match. Wardlow came out after the previous match. Now we got Jericho Appreciation Society and Ricky Starks coming out after the match. Fuck. It happens more. There's a great part of the show, one of the top spots of the show. Christian Cage has an interview, which is fantastic. He really nailed it, man. The fans were really trying to like take over the segment by, I think, maybe a shut the F up chant or something like that. And he just kept talking over him and going and going and going. And he nailed it. He nailed it. He sold me on the match, even though I know I'm going to be disappointed when I see that Jungle Boy will, once again, the hero wins at the end of the day. Boring. Oh, come on, man. Christian's had enough of a shine on him. I don't care. We knew where this was going from day one. I can't believe I ended up being this mad, but like, you know, this is really disappointing is what I'm trying to say, because I expect more by now. So then there's a promo video with Jungle Boy digging a grave. And I did not think it was great because I thought it made no sense. Why would, and the tombstone said Christian Cage in it. Like, I don't think, like, if it's referencing the fact that his father's dead and now Christian's going to be dead, I don't know. To me, I thought that it didn't fit Jungle Boy Jack Perry's character whatsoever. And I don't believe him as a badass. I don't believe he could kill anyone. Coming up next, another foregone conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. It's still happening. Hook takes on Matt Hardy with the Firm at ringside. I don't know how long they're going to keep doing this with Hook, because he's you know what, I'm going to check it out. So Hook is the FTW champion, and he is still undefeated. And he has been wrestling since the 8th of the 12th, 2021. So the 12th of December, so the 8th of December, 2021, he had his first match on Rampage against Fuego del Sol. And it is the 1st of March 2023, and he's still only had 21 matches. If you want the guy to improve, you need to put him on the road and do some independence. Even if you have to tell them, oh, Hook has to go over or whatever. You know, I know you need him to get better by working with people who are a little bit more experienced, but he is 21-0. He has not lost. At some point, he has to face someone that's formidable. And here we get Matt Hardy. What happened to him? He means nothing now. I know they got some story with him and the firm or whatever, but man, it feels like it means nothing. So yeah, I don't know where they're going with Hook. Matt Hardy's just 2 years ago, he meant so much on the show. Now he means nothing. He tapped out straight away, okay, for the choke out that Hook does, right? I didn't think that was good. And I'm going to respond to something that someone says, right? Ryan Howard again. So not again, for the first time here. Ryan Howard of The Observer, Wrestling Observer, Meltzer's publication. As a result, Hook now gets Stokely Hathaway in a no DQ match with the firm banned from ringside. We've just got a thing with people banned from ringside. You can't do that. One thing at a fucking time. Fuck. This was a little quick match with Hook overcoming the odds and Hardy tapping immediately, thus screwing over Hathaway, which was pretty intentional because Hardy's like a member of the group that didn't want to be in the group. I'll explain something to you, Ryan. Why would Matt try so hard fighting him in the match, only to just want to screw him over with a quick tap out? That makes no sense. Don't try and make sense out of things that don't make sense just because you write for The Observer, okay? I know what The Observer's like. Every time there's an opportunity to come up with an excuse as to why this or that, you got to come up with it. You have to. Because if you're wrong about this style of wrestling being the right style of wrestling, then your whole career was built on nothing, Meltzer. Nothing. Your world will come crumbling down, just like Tony's will when he finally realizes that he should not be writing this show. If they, because they can't allow themselves, Alvarez, they can't allow themselves to finally be like, you know what, maybe what we like isn't going to be popular, isn't going to be the popular thing. You know, they have to keep coming up with excuses like, oh, the NBA game was on. Like, okay. I used to love the Chicago Bulls. If the Memphis Grizzlies were against the New York Knicks or whatever teams, I'm not watching those games. I watch the team that I go for. Some NBA fans watch a lot of games, but I just watch my own team. That's where I don't get about the excuses of the NBA and other sports or the NFL or this, you know, because honestly, you look at that crowd, they don't look like a lot of sports fans out there, you know. Sorry, it's true. So Britt and Jamie have an interview. Thank God nobody interrupted that interview, because if they did, man. Hangman Page did a promo. I went and did something else whilst that happened. Our token ladies match of the show. Yes, things still haven't changed since we were doing reviews on the show, on this channel. The ladies still only get their one match a show. Jesus Christ. 2 titles as well, by the way. Toni Storm from my neck of the woods, Australia, taking on Riho, who I haven't seen in a while. I mean, I only see maybe 1 or 2 matches first. But anyway, I actually thought this was the best match on the show. Riho, geez, she is small though, like very tiny frame, man. And it's, to be honest, she's not really an athlete either. I mean, she's fit, she can run, but it's not like she has this like spring in a step like a real athlete. Like Toni Storm comes across more like an athlete in comparison to Riho. I see online a lot of fans do not like Saraya. And I know what it is. It's because like they can't get the WWE thing out of their mind. Like they can't let some of these people in, you know? Like I bet you a lot of those fans will never give Big Bill a real go, you know? Because they've got the WWE stink on them. Like Jeff Jarrett. He's doing such a great job as a heel, and the fans still, oh, why is Jarrett in the match? You know, Why couldn't like Aussie Open or Top Flight have been in the match? So you're admitting all you care about, you don't care about characters and story and things that make sense. You care about people being put in the match so you can see them jump off something. Like, fuck you. Fans like you are fucking ruining wrestling. Anyway, another interference, everyone. Another interference. By the way, there was interference in the Hook match. Ethan Page did get involved. So Britt and Jamie come out to get involved. Saraya's already been getting involved. That's why they came out. Commercials during the match. Commercials during every match. Don't know if Hook and Matt had it, or Jericho and Peters was too short, but because so they went to commercial during Jericho's entrance. So, but yeah, they were cutting them out all over the place. But again, I think this storyline just reeks of laziness. What is it? Like, I still don't really know what's going on. And I've watched the last 3 weeks of TV. I still don't know what's going on. Like, Saraya and Toni want Ruby to go heel and be with them, but Britt and Jamie want Ruby to be with them. Why does it matter? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on it, but like, it's not the ladies' fault. It's just, again, it's just very simplistic stories. Bleacher Report. Soho versus Hayter versus Saraya should be a boatload of fun and continue the upward trend of recent women's wrestling storytelling in AEW. You fucking get your nose. You brown noser. Get your nose out of Tony's hole, man. How the hell can you say that this is an upward trend of recent women's wrestling storytelling? They've got one storyline going. What about the other 30 women on the roster? Sitting on their ass, doing nothing, waiting for their one segment that they might get on Dynamite and Rampage. Oh, the YouTube, fuck up with the fucking YouTube shows. No one watches it. They get like 200. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't equate to anything in the future. They don't have it full of story and intrigue and suspense and surprises. I've watched the episodes. They're just squash matches. You can't have a lot going on the shows anyway because they tape like months of of AEW Dark in advance anyway. Almost done here, everyone. Sorry. Casino Tag Team Battle Royale. They had to bump this from the pay-per-view because they got a fucking Iron Man match on the show. Butcher and the Blade, Angelo Parker and Matt Menard, Preston Vance and Roosh, the Lucha Brothers, Top Flight, Blackpool Combat Clubs, Claudio and Wheeler fucking Utah, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, Aussie Open, The Kingdom, which was a nice surprise as far as I was concerned. And Dark Order's John Silver and Alex Reynolds. Dark Order are the cockroach of AEW. They just don't seem to want to die no matter what. They've got 3 members left. You haven't seen Colt Cabana in months. He's probably in the Ring of Honor, I suppose, but fuck, man. Just end it. I feel bad for Alex and John. I don't feel bad for Evil Uno. He can get fucked. Still haven't forgiven him for Revolution 2021 when he ran into a ring post. Okay, so we get one of these really fucking long Rumble type things. This wasn't very good, man. Like, I'm really negative on this show, but when I've been positive, I've been positive. Guess what? Interference in this match again, because apparently this is the only way Toni knows how to further any stories or add layers to it, is have people come out, people interrupt, people interfere. Josh Woods and Tony Nese interfere on the Lucha Brothers, which cost them being put into, or winning this match and being put into the tag title match at the upcoming pay-per-view. I've actually forgotten the name of the pay-per-view. That's Revolution. Anyway, all these interferences, all these people coming out, all these people interrupting one another all the time, just makes it seem like the company is a mess and there's just interference run-ins all the time. The security are useless. You know why he does it? because it's a lazy and easy way to continue a story, because God forbid he has to sit there and actually think of something creative in a real actual storyline where people can sink their teeth into some real content. That's why I know he doesn't write MJF stuff. I know MJF writes his own stuff because it's actually good. It's actually like, I know Danielson, I know Christian Cage didn't get verbiage written for them by Tony. They knew what they were going to do because they're pros. They're very good at what they do. A lot of other people need help with that. Unfortunately, you can only get help with that if you're getting help from people who know what they're doing. Oh, okay. The fans did not react when Maria got double super kicked and the Kingdom got eliminated. I've got a little bit of a feeling that they don't like Saraya. They don't like Maria because when they see Maria, all they see is someone from the Diva Search, someone that was in wrestling, and she's just TNA, and she was just there to look pretty, and she's not one of us. She's not a real wrestler. Have you not seen her work in Ring of Honor? You've not seen the stuff she's done. The crowd did not care for Maria, and I know it's because of that. I'm telling you, it's because of the WWE stink. Get over it. Claudio eliminated by Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Claudio Castagnoli, the Ring of Honor World Champion, got eliminated by Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Do you want me to say that again? Claudio Castagnoli, the ROH World Champion, got eliminated by Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. Butcher and the Blade were the final team in there with Orange and Danhausen, and Butcher and the Blade never win anything. Oh, but they won their last 8 matches on Dark. Shut up, bro. None of that means anything. Riho's won 17 out of her last 18 matches, I think Excalibur said. And I'm like, fuck, so? No one saw any of them, so it doesn't mean anything. So we knew Butcher the Blade weren't winning, so we knew Orange and Danhausen were already winning anyway. But man, Claudio got eliminated by Orange and Danhausen. Oh yeah, guess why? Guess why? Because the Dark Order, who got attacked by them earlier when they make their entrance for this match, they came out and interfered. That's 2 interferences in the same match. And then after the match, there's another run-in, and it's after the match. Jarrett and his crew of cronies there attack Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. And I think the Gun Club ran in as well. Fuck, man, come on, that's bad. That's fucking bad. The Gun Club, I get it. They got to fucking do the thing, they got to add another layer to the story. The same layer that's been put through 1, 2, I don't know how many times now. Do I have time to go through and count them all? The same thing has happened over and over again. That's the only way any of these stories have been birthed. Guess what else? The Acclaimed now make a run in, and they make the save, because you can't have the heels go up again on this segment because you just had the oh no, Ruby made the save. So you had a good person make a save. How many fucking saves were there made in the show? How many run-ins? It's just Tony's trying to fucking shoehorn everyone into the show. And that's why he puts a Rumble match on here, a long ladder match, and has the opening match be long as well. And then, we've got to cram all this other shit in. I better just make everyone run in constantly. Fuck, man. That actually blew my mind that I completely forgot how fucking bad that was. Shit. Anyway, we seen the shit like that through the whole show. Give me some story, man. Give me something. I finally got something in the last 5 minutes of the show. So the Christian thing was great, but then they ruined it with a pokey fucking Jack Perry thing. So anyway, Danielson comes out. He's cutting a promo. MJF interrupts, as expected. But MJF doesn't get the chance to talk. Danielson cuts a hell of a promo, man. Like he really thought about this and he went for it. See, you can tell when someone puts active thought into something because the results come out like this. You see that Danielson is a pro. And he really, like, I think this might have been one of the best promos I've ever seen him cut. MJF sold it real well, you know. So I actually am kind of looking forward to their match now. I wasn't before because 60-minute Iron Man match. Fuck, man, you know, that's tough for me, but I reckon they'll pull it off, man. I'm sure they will because MJF and Danielson have been very, very good in the last couple of years that, you know, I've seen them. So there we have it, everyone. We just over an hour. We got my whole Dynamite review. We got my whole history with my relationship as a wrestling fan with AEW, right? And I guess I want to end this on maybe saying something positive because I've just realized how bad the show was then. I mean, I knew I was going to be negative, but I did not realize how negative I was going to be until I did it. Oh, by the way, where's Darby and Sting? I don't know. Maybe they're selling something. Darby, I got beat up and is off TV for a while. But look, something positive. I want them to do well. I want AEW to do really well. I really do. I just don't think that they're going to be able to get there if they keep on going down that route with the high spot things and the niche stuff, the inside kind of crap that they do, the hokey humor that's not really funny because human wrestling's only funny when the wrestlers don't think they're being funny when they're being funny. You know, it's just things like that aren't going to grow their audience. And not that like I know everything. Some things could probably work, but the facts are right there. Like the number doesn't go higher than 1.1 million or anything like that. You know, sometimes they get 1 million, then the next week they might get 720,000. Oh yeah, well, they had boxing on and on ABC that night. So, but yeah, you know, it's just I really want AEW to do well, and I'm going to list 5 things. Okay. Just making it up as a goal. 5 things I need to do that. Okay. 1, drop the niche, you know, stuff that they've got where they just appease their own fan base that aren't going to go anywhere and really think about what can we do to draw in casual wrestling fans. 2, Toni doesn't write the show anymore. Someone else has to write the show. Someone with experience. Someone who's in wrestling and gets wrestling. Get a little team together, a committee. Trust me, it'll work. You just get Toni away from it. 3, get Toni off Twitter. Get him off the press scrums after the pay-per-views. Get him away from all that stuff. We don't need to see him hugging the wrestlers. We don't need to see him hogging the spotlight. Please. Before he does something else stupid because he's a spoiled brat and acts like a teenage girl on the internet. And okay, you know what, teenage boy as well, because sometimes teenage boys could be little dickheads on the internet as well. 4, you got to get rid of some of the talent. I keep hearing people say, oh, Rampage might be better if they have 2 hours instead of 1, and it's on at a better time of night. And it's just like, no, it won't. It's just going to be the same, but more of it. Like, fuck. And 5, let me think. Oh, I can't think of anything else. I'll give you 4 things, okay? 4. All right, well, there we go, everyone. We're now nearly an hour and 10 minutes into this review. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts. And if you disagree with anything that I had to say, please, down below in the comments, let's have a debate. Let's not be rude to one another. Let's have a debate, a discussion about the situation. You know, let's not get into an argument and start with the name calling and then, oh, you're a WWE stan and blah, blah, blah. Let's have a debate if you want. I'd even be welcome to having someone on the show that loves AEW, that wants to have a conversation with me about this stuff. See if we can find common ground. Thank you all for joining me here. I'm Karlifornia. This is the WZWA Network. Check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com under our store, Thunder Mifflin. Some great designs there that you'll love. We need some more sales, man. Then we can get more designs up there. Also, go to www.rizon.net, RIZON.net. Great group of fans in a chat room called #ProWrestling. So you put in your little nickname, you put in the channel name, #ProWrestling, click enter, you enter the chat. Some great people in there. I'm in there all the time, and you can talk to them about wrestling. Thank you again. I'm Karlifornia, and we will see you down the road. Thank you.
Network, that's the way we play. Good God Almighty. Network, that's the way we play. Get puppies. Network, that's the way we play. Get.
The following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.